Welcome back to Frontline Insights. I'm Bill Brandt. We're here live at IT Nation 2011. I'm here with the folks from Symform, Kevin Brown, who is the VP of Sales, and Margaret Dawson, who's the VP of Marketing.
Hey, Bill.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you taking the time. And lots of things going on here at IT Nation. I think this is the first year you guys have come out in a big way. You're really starting to hit the market. What brings you out to IT Nation now?
Well, we just announced an integration connector with ConnectWise. So we wanted to come out and talk about what we're doing specifically with ConnectWise, but also, increase the awareness and understanding among this great target audience that ConnectWise has about what we do, who we are, how we can help them build their businesses, increase their gross margins, and really build out a great cloud backup and disaster recovery service.
That makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of things going on in the industry. There's probably no hotter time right now with all the different technologies. You guys are in a hot spot as well. Maybe you can talk to what you're seeing going on in the industry and then how that ties into the solution that you're here to talk about.
Sure. So we see a few trends, and feel free to add to these, Kevin. I think one of them is just the amount of data out there. We were just talking about data not only for businesses but personal use. I mean, everyone is dealing with just a huge increase of data. And from an IT perspective and an MSP or solution provider perspective is how do you manage that? How do you keep it secure? How do you allow people to access it more easily? There's a lot of solutions, technology, services that go along with that. But I don't think anyone would argue that we are dealing with just an astronomical increase in the amount of data for our businesses. So that's one. I think a second one is just the cost of cloud storage. So a lot of people are looking at the cloud as kind of a fundamentally new way to manage this and saying, oh, I'll just put it up in the cloud. But there's kind of a broken model because you can buy on-site storage, for fairly inexpensive cost. But when you try to do that same amount of data in the cloud, it can be literally thousands of dollars. And the reason for that is pretty simple. It's because all of the cloud providers are building out huge infrastructure with data centers. And I always kind of laugh because people talk about the cloud as if it's operating on its own, but the reality is there's a data center behind every cloud. And so
and data centers are like the airline business, right? It's a yield business, right? You've got to build it and hope they come, right? So in the meantime, they have to pass those costs off to the people that use them. And to be in the business, you can't have one; you got to have two, right? So you're doubling your costs. You're hoping that people will use your service, and the cost of data centers is largely around power. And, electricity is indexed to oil. Last time I looked, oil isn't going down anytime soon, right? So it's just a really hard model to make money at. And backup disaster recovery, unlike other cloud solutions, there's a class of cloud solutions that are very favorable to, like Salesforce.com, CRM, and similar technologies lend themselves well to cloud technology. Backup disaster recovery isn't in a class like that, and because of that, Margaret's really referring to how expensive it is. Right. We don't think that's going to change anytime soon. In fact, we see prices going up, not getting lower.
Yeah, and I think the EPA came out with a report recently that 2% of all power in the U.S. now goes to data centers, and that's just continuing. You've seen announcements from Google and Facebook; they're building out these global, huge data centers. So, how that relates to kind of how we came into this picture is we looked at that and said, okay, so we have all these data centers, and the other trend that kind of ties to that is the fact that people have all this unused capacity.
Yes.
Within their own. I mean, even at home, we all have these huge external, hard drives, and even if you're taking photos every day, you're not using 100% of that. And from a business perspective or an MSP perspective, you're not going to run those at 100%. That's dangerous, right? You can't afford to run your business that way. So if you're looking at everybody running, their servers at capacity of, 40, 50%, that's a lot of unused space. So we kind of said, okay, so the cloud is a great resource. How do we fundamentally change that economic model and make it cost effective to put data in the cloud and help people, better leverage the existing resources they have by using some of that capacity?
And so tie that piece together. How does Symform fit into all that?
Right. So what we did is we built a decentralized cloud storage network. And what that means is you actually contribute your excess capacity of on-site storage to the network, and in turn you get very cost-effective monthly flat fee cloud backup and DR.
Outstanding.
You want to add to that?
Yeah, so it's a peer-to-peer architecture, not unlike Skype or BitTorrent. We sort of say, kind of euphemistically, it's sort of Skype meets BitTorrent. Everyone participates in the network, and effectively, you're contributing local storage that, again, economically is very, very cheap, and in exchange, getting very valuable cloud space, in sort of like equal measure. And so, as Margaret said, you can sort of say you are the cloud. I mean, sort of as a catchphrase, and technically it's true. I mean, it's not a metaphor. It's like technically you are the cloud. The MSPs that we have and we serve, as well as their customers, and the configurations vary depending on what you're doing and how, what type of clients you have as well. But the economics, in addition to the reliability and the security of that system, because we get asked frequently, how can you build a data center-like infrastructure on the backs of local, inexpensive, insecure, and unreliable hardware, right? I mean, it's sort of an obvious question. It just so happens that our technology has just gone through a SAS 70 audit, and we're like minutes away from getting the certificate. We'll be the first non-data center solution that will pass a SAS 70 audit. Because SAS 70 audits are really focused for
infrastructure. It's like operational
traditional.
controls,
And so we'll be the first in that class. So we're really excited about that. And even though it isn't intuitive that it could be as secure as reliable as a building out in the middle of nowhere, the fact is we're more secure and more reliable. And we have the stats to show it. So it's a great model, and to Margaret's point about economics, it allows MSPs to make more money, and do so in two ways, right? I mean, one is the application, that is Symform as a backup disaster recovery solution, is applicable to just about any class of business. I was an MSP for 10 years in a prior life, and you can sell CRM solutions and ERP solutions or do network security to some types of customers, but not every customer needs a CRM system or potentially another vertical type application, but everyone needs a backup disaster recovery solution. So it's applicable to just about any customer you have. Therefore, it opens doors, new doors, and MSPs are constantly looking for new customers. It also enables them to sleep better at night, right? Because the data is protected. And it's a set and forget type of system. You don't have to babysit it all the time. It's sort of a silent infrastructure. It sits behind a backup solution that you can deploy. And again, we don't dictate to our partners what kind of backup apps they use. We prefer image-based backup applications. But the idea that you have this infrastructure behind you that you don't really have to babysit all the time, that's protecting your client's data, makes them sleep better and their clients sleep better. But the economics really, really drive the solution. You can say it's wonderful technology, it's secure and reliable and so on, but at the end of the day, we're all in this to make money, and MSPs are really, really always focused on margin, right? So it's flat fee based, and for unlimited storage. And the model in the industry is pay to play, right? So you take storage in the cloud and you pay on a per gigabyte basis, right? The more you consume, the more you pay. And again, it's sort of like a tax, right? I mean, this year's data is going to be 2x next year's data, or next year's data will be 2x this year's data. Data is growing, right? You don't want to have less data. Paying per gigabyte doesn't work. We're a flat fee service for an unlimited amount of storage. We've lowered the cost dramatically for our partners, which increases their margins naturally and allows them to be more profitable.
That's good. A lot of good stuff in there. And you mentioned partners on multiple occasions. How do the partners fit into your go-to-market strategy? What role do they play? And
critical.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always been a channel play, and from the beginning, I think there's a couple key roles they play. One, and Kevin just said this very well, that they play a role of basically being able to add more services or augment the services they're doing in a really cost-effective way. But from a selfish perspective, they're also building the network. So we're able to provide them with this solution at a very cost-effective price, help them increase their revenues and their margin, because they're basically powering the cloud. And so it's a very collaborative and cooperative system. And I think there's some ownership in that. And I think there's kind of a cool factor in that they can look at that and say, yeah, I'm using this excess space, I'm giving my customers a huge value add, and this is such a small community, as you know. I mean, even though there's tens of hundreds of thousands of MSPs, we're all kind of in this together. And I think that building a network together kind of adds to that. So we're really building out a community is what we're doing, and helping everybody grow their business.
So you talked about it at some level before, but maybe you can just hone in exactly how can the partners, the big question of the day, how can the partners make money leveraging your capabilities, your service, your solutions with what they offer today?
Sure. Well, as I said earlier, we offer a solution that's compatible with other solutions, right? So we're somewhat agnostic to the environment or the tools and apps that an MSP might deploy. And that was intentional, right? So we know that the MSP community might deploy one of a dozen different backup applications. Some are file-based, some are image-based. Increasingly, image-based backup apps are becoming more popular. StorageCraft, for example, is in that category. Acronis, Intronis, eFolder, and others. We're happy that people use backup applications because you can become familiar with them and you become, you're happy with the solution. We actually are a backup to the backup, right? So we're an off-site backup to an on-site backup, which sort of gives you the best of both worlds. So we fit with with every type of infrastructure, even appliance-based infrastructures, right? Today. So we can let partners immediately replace expensive cloud-based solutions they might already have in place with our solution, and I'm not exaggerating, in a seamless way. And because effectively, whether you're backing up images or files, they're just bits to us, and we back them up.
I think I've had a lot of conversations already at the show because it's just been amazing. I mean, at the booth, we've been constantly in conversation. So, kudos to ConnectWise because it's been just an awesome show. But, I think the conversations we're having are pretty typical. And a lot of them are saying, okay, I have these customers, same thing, lots of data. We need to somehow, in our classification of this data, some of it we just need to get into a cloud and, archive it. That's one issue. But another one is we're building out this infrastructure, but we need that secondary backup. And then when you start talking about, oh, by the way, we have this instant restore where you can have a hot copy in your facility, have a secondary copy in our cloud, and so it works hand in hand, that is very attractive to them. And I think that if you can do that cost effectively, they would love to do that. That's a best practice, and I think everyone wants to be saying I follow best practices when it comes to backup and disaster recovery. Most of them just can't afford it. And so especially for folks, doing medical, legal, but really any industry, but those particularly are in pain right now because there's added compliance issues, around how you store data.
Well, that's a good segue point, and maybe you started to touch on it already. Where are some of the hot opportunities for the partners to focus? Is there certain industries that are particularly poised to leverage your capabilities? Is there markets? Is it just so broad based? How should the partners start to hone in and identify specific opportunities?
Right. I mean, I think there are some verticals that are just naturally lending to it, but at the end of the day, it's a very horizontal play. Because as we talked about in the beginning, everybody has too much data and no one knows exactly how to manage all of it and back it up cost effectively and securely. But I think that with compliance driving certain industries and the need to keep data in a certain way and secure data, I think that does lend it. But I think there's also just a lot of opportunity for them to better leverage what they already have. And I know that sounds simplistic, but so many guys are saying, I'm building out my third data center. It's amazing how much infrastructure these guys are having to build on their own to feel like they can control what's going on. And I think, one guy I talked to this morning was saying what he liked is that he could actually contribute to the network on behalf of his customers. Right, so he could say, yeah, so it doesn't have to be his customer that's contributing to the network, so they can just take advantage of the backup and DR for their data, and he can then do the contribution. So being able to, kind of play with the different systems and nodes, and so that everyone is comfortable with the concept, you're still able to leverage it, is a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, and it's very, very easy for partners to get started working with us, right? You're able to come to our site. You can actually download our application, which runs as an agent, and we basically, you can do that in about 10 minutes. We offer up to 100 gigabytes of free storage. So it's sort of really an extended kind of trial, as I alluded to earlier. And it's as simple as that. I mean, really easy. And we also offer, in addition to sort of the sort of block and tackle stuff, is essentially this whole infrastructure around management. And that really is why we're here, right? So we offer our own native console. It's a dashboarding system. Most of our partners are sort of 50, 60, 75 customers plus. So they're managing a lot of different customers with thousands of nodes potentially. We talked to a partner today at over 3,000 computers under management. That's a lot to manage, right? So we provide the infrastructure and the information and the mail alerts, and now with the new integration, the ConnectWise, the ability to pipe all that data that comes out of our system right into the ConnectWise management console, so that gives them more control and more, sort of more flexibility. But it's really easy to work with us. You can, that's the other nice thing. You don't have to invest tens of thousands of dollars in appliance hardware. You don't have to go out and do something at a data center. You can do something local and participate immediately. And that probably more than anything else is driving the growth of our business, because people can kick the tires really easily, quickly.
That's great stuff, and you guys, like I said, you're in a hot market. The explosion of data is just unbelievable right now, and combining that with the software as a service or the cloud computing model, I think you're going to get a lot of traction. But for those partners who don't know about you or just learned, what would be a parting shot, each one of you, if you guys want to think of a last word or something?
Sure. I think it's just, go to the website, Symform.com, and download the software and start playing with it. I think when you start seeing how easy it is to contribute and to utilize the network, it becomes a real easy way to say, yeah, I get it. Let's move forward.
Yeah, we make it very easy for new partners to come and discover us. We have our own resources internally. We're frequently on the phone and in web meetings discussing and assisting partners to get set up. We're very channel friendly. As I mentioned, I was an MSP for almost 10 years. So I was on the sell side, the buy side, I'm on the sell side. The company is really focused around our channel, and we like the channel, and the channel really is helping us drive our business. So we welcome any of our participants in the audience today to come give us a try.
Excellent. Well, you guys, it's been very educational. I learned a lot about your offering, and hopefully our viewers did as well. So, Kevin,
Thank you.
Margaret, thank you
great.
both.
Thanks, Phil.
Look forward
Appreciate
to
it.
more great things from you guys.
Appreciate it.